Wow. I'm starting a little course from I don't know whether it's a social enterprise or a charity called Bags of Taste. Yeah, it's a local to where I live anyway. I don't know if they've got in other places, but they sent me a recipe, they sent me ingredients for a meal that I can cook for really cheaply. I think 2 portions of this meal will come to probably less than £2, maybe £2. I don't know whether it's £2 or £1, but I've got all the ingredients: chickpeas, tomatoes, chili, garam masala, olive oil, rice, onions that I'm preparing now. They even sent me a knife sharpener, which I am going to use to sharpen my knife, because my knife I'm using to cut the onions, even though I thought it's sharp, it's not really that sharp. So let's have a look. Knife sharpener instructions. Knife blade. Sharpen both sides of blade. Pull through against stone. Do not put in straight. Yeah, that's interesting. Alright, 15 degrees. Oh, I see. Alright, well, before I do that, let me take some of these onions and clean my knife. Wash my knife. Dry it. You know when you watch MasterChef on TV, all this preparation that you're doing, it takes them ages, but they just edit it. I'm not editing it, by the way, I'm just doing it as it goes. So, let's see, how do you do this knife blade? Okay, you're supposed to put it in like that. Oh. Okay. And through the other side like that. I hope this works. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to. Don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna try doing it now that I've allegedly sharpened my knife. I'm preparing the onions first, cutting and dicing them. I've actually cut the onions. I've removed the top and the skin and left the root there to keep it in place while I'm cutting it. So let's see if this is sharp now. It seems a bit sharper than what it was. I wonder how my mum did it when back in the day, back in the 60s and 70s, when there wasn't all these knife sharpeners. Oh yeah, it's actually cutting it a lot easier than it was. I should have asked my old mum before she passed along how she, get some tips and tricks for cooking, especially things like jollof rice that I love to cook. But as it happens, when I cook jollof rice now, I just actually I went on YouTube and I went on this Nigerian woman's channel, and she actually did a jollof rice recipe, and I tell you what, that recipe is delicious. When I cook it, oh my days. Mind you, I cooked it just over a week ago when my son came round. he phoned me up, and we were chatting, and I said, "Oh, you fancy coming around to watch the Manchester United Manchester City game?" Because he's a Manchester United supporter. I don't know what I did to deserve that, me being an Arsenal supporter and having a son that supports Man United, but that's another story. And he said, yeah. So, anyway, I cooked jollof rice for him. And although the jollof rice was delicious, in fact, it was fantastic, what I do is, I put Scotch bonnet in it, which is a very hot pepper, African, Caribbean, use it in their cooking. And I actually buy my Scotch bonnet in bulk, and I put them in the freezer. And I just pulled out the first one that I could, that I saw. It's this massive grape. It was about that size, big. Stuck it in, and anyone who's had Scotch bonnet before knows they're hot. So, did the jollof rice, made a bit of chicken with it, and my son said to me, "Oh, Dad," he said, "this jollof rice is delicious," but he was saying it like this. "Dad, this jollof rice is delicious." Well, it was delicious, but it was also very hot. So, in future, pro tip, or not so pro tip, if you're cooking jollof rice for 2 people, don't put a whole large Scotch bonnet in it. It's too much. But he enjoyed it, and he enjoyed the chicken. The only thing he didn't enjoy was the result of the match, because Manchester City walked all over Manchester United. And even though he's my son, I enjoyed that result myself. So, for all you people that support Manchester United, I hope that you keep your manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole in. Ole's at the wheel. Keep him. He's good for the other teams in the Premier League. Okay, so now got my ingredients. How to cook this beast of a meal. Chop the onions. Alright, heat the oil. Do I heat in a frying pan or a pot? Heat the oil. I'm going to heat in a frying pan actually, because I've got to do the onions. I might edit this to a short version, but I will see. Here's the oil. Actually, I'm definitely going to edit it to a shorter version, because it says here, heat the oil for at least 10 minutes, and I'm sure you're not going to want to be watching me for 10 minutes stirring onions and heating frying onions. So I'm gonna start with my onions. While I'm eating onions, go and make yourself a cup of tea. Get some digestives, something like this. Look, PG tips, delicious. Get some digestive biscuits, preferably the ones with chocolates on them, and put your feet up and wait for a few minutes, and I will be back. Okay, that's the onions. That's done. Now, gonna add the spices. Chili pepper. Add a bit of garam masala and fennel. Okay, I've got a bit of, I like garam masala, I've got some in here. So, apparently this is a mix of garam masala and fennel. Add that. Oh, it's already starting to smell like a curry. Load. Actually, you're supposed to. Put in the chopped tomatoes. Gotta find my trusty tin opener. Old school tin opener. None of these new, none of these magnetic things. This is like tin openers from the 60s. That's what my mum brought me up on. Put a bit of elbow grease in it. Alright. Put the tomatoes in. That goes in the sink, so I wash out and recycle. Remember, recycle all your stuff. Save the planet. Remember Boris Johnson. Because I was actually reading an article yesterday. All you people that love going on holiday. All you people that love going on holiday. I used to look at places like the Maldives to go, and the Maldives is a bunch of islands basically, Asia area, and it's really nice. But the problem is it's very low lying. The whole bunch of islands there. There's I think about 90% of the bunch of islands there are no more than 1 metre above sea level. And with global warming, the amount that the water rises above sea level apparently by about 2060. The whole place will be underwater, and that's their whole country. So we need to change things. What can we change? We can start cycling. We can start walking. Instead of using our cars just to go down to the supermarket or to take the kids to school, we can walk the kids to school. Because at the end of the day, it's the kids that are going to be left with all this when we're gone, because by 2060 I'm not going to be around, and a lot of people aren't going to be around. So we need to think of our kids and our grandkids. So you can recycle. You can, if you got the money, you can insulate, you can use solar energy, all that kind of stuff. I mean, okay, it costs money to do lots of things, but there are other things that it doesn't cost money. Apparently, banks are one of the largest investors in fossil fuels. My bank, Barclays Bank, is the number one bank that invests in fossil fuels. So, at the end of the day, things like changing your bank. So, I am going to be, instead of using my Barclays bank, I'm going to start using my Monzo. My Monzo bank, because they're really good. Use Monzo, people. Increase the heat to medium high, it says. Okay. So, probably take about 5 to 10 minutes. Be careful not to let it burn. Keep stirring. Okay. I'm going to put this on 5 minutes, actually. I'll put my timer on 5 minutes. Hope you enjoy your cup of tea, by the way, and your digestives. So, second cup of tea. When I was a kid, we used to have tea bags. We used to put one tea bag in a cup, drink the cup of tea, and then if we wanted another one, we'd just pour water in the same tea bag and use the tea bag twice. Oh, that's a good idea, actually. That's a good idea for saving things, because I'm sure that the second time you use the tea bag, at least it was when I was a kid, it wasn't that bad after all. People would be saying, tight git Michael, car using the tea bag twice, but why not? Oh, another way you can save the planet is buy clothes that are not new. Go to all these vintage stores, second-hand stores, buy second-hand clothing. Go on places like, is it Depop or something like that? There are loads of apps, there are quite a few apps online that sell second-hand clothing. Buy second-hand clothing, because the fashion industry, again, is a high polluter, as it were, even though they might tell you they're not. It's looking good, actually. I'm having it with rice, by the way, so I might as well start, while I'm doing this, I might as well start preparing my rice. And I've got the rice here. I always wash my rice because I don't like my rice being starchy. You can wash it in cold water, or you can wash it in warm water. I tend to wash it in warm water to start. I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but look at the colour of that water. That's all the starch in it. So you wash it, strain it, or just pour the water out. Wash it again, just until the water is pretty clear. Alright, that looks pretty clear. So, I'm not going to fill my pot with water. Put it on the stove. I'm not going to put any salt in it because I don't really like that much salt in my food. And salt is, when you get to my age, salt is not that great for your insides anyway. I mean, having said that, there's nothing wrong in putting a bit of salt in your food. It's just you don't want to put excess. So a pinch of salt here and a bit of salt there, in the rice. I'm not saying it's I'm not saying don't do it. All I'm saying is I don't do it, or I don't have that much of it, shall we say. Okay, now it says add the ketchup and the chickpeas and enough water to get the, I'm going to turn that a bit lower actually, to get the gravy how thick you want it. Alright, now this comes in water, these chickpeas come in water, so I'm actually going to put the water of the chickpeas in it as well. That way I won't have to put more water in it. Again, recycle your tins. Stir it in. That was my alarm, by the way, telling me that time to put in the chickpeas, but I was already on it. Alright, gonna put the heat up a little bit more. The recipe says add salt and bring to boil. I'm not putting any salt in mine, but please put salt in yours if you're cooking it. I will actually put I'm going to make a copy of this sheet with the recipe and the ingredients, and I'm actually going to put this recipe in the description down below. So if you want to try this, by all means, you've got the tools. If you want to know more about this, if you want to know more about Bags for Taste, again, I'll put the link to their website in the description below. They've got a Facebook page as well, so that will be there. All the information will be there, and I'm sure if you're interested in learning how to cook quite cheaply, definitely they will help you out. Bit of ketchup, that's on the recipe as well. Or you can put, instead of putting ketchup, you can put some of this, which is tomato puree. This is what I use, and this is what all Nigerians use in their jollof rice. But the recipe says ketchup. They put ketchup in it, in the bag. So I am gonna put ketchup in with the recipe. Now I leave and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to turn the heat down to simmer. I'm going to put because I had that on for a few minutes, I'm going to put my timer on for say 12 minutes, and then I'll come back and have a butcher's or have a look. Butcher's is East End slang because I'm from London. Butcher's hook, look. So I'll come back and have a look. Okay people, we're back. The noise you're hearing, the sizzling noise, is actually chicken. I'm actually frying a bit of chicken to have with it. The only reason I'm actually doing this chicken is because I actually had some chicken leftovers in the fridge, and I don't want to waste it, so I might as well use it. But this is not part of the recipe, by the way. So anyway, the next step, it's been 15 minutes, so this should be near enough ready. The rice is just about ready. Let me taste that rice to make sure it's I think the rice probably needs a couple more minutes. But the last bit is to wash and chop the coriander. So I've got that in the fridge. I'm going to take it out. Stick it in the sink to wash. This is my bag of veg, by the way, that comes with it. So I'm just going to wash the coriander. Okay, that's all done. And I'm going to chop it up. I normally use, if I use coriander in my spices, I normally use it not fresh. I don't normally buy the fresh one. So this is a kind of a new thing for me. Oh, it smells nice, by the way. Alright. So now. That's all done. Just finishing my chicken. I'm going to take my rice off the heat and strain it. I'm going to take my trusty 1970s big strainer. This rice is enough for 2 meals actually. So I can either keep some for tomorrow in the fridge or put it in the freezer and keep it for whenever I fancy it. A meal for 2 or 2 meals for 1. Depends how you like it, and it's quite cheap. I will actually find out how much all the ingredients cost, and I will put the price in the description below, so you know exactly how much you can cook a nice meal and how much it costs. going to serve it out now. Take my plate. A bit of rice in it. Put the chickpeas and chickpea curry on top. This is how MasterChef do it, by the way. Try and make it look pretty. For me, I don't really care how it looks as long as it tastes nice. Get the coriander. And there you have it. Your rice, your chickpea curry, and your coriander garnish. That is my dinner tonight. Oh, by the way, I hope you enjoyed watching.